The plane soared smoothly above the clouds, slicing through the endless blue at 35,000 feet. Inside the first-class cabin, an air of quiet luxury enveloped the space. Plush leather seats reclined gently, soft lighting cast a warm glow, and crystal glasses sparkled with champagne. Flight attendants moved gracefully, offering smiles and polite pleasantries to the few privileged travelers. The hum of engines blended with hushed conversations and the clinking of fine china. But beneath the surface of this serene setting, something felt off. Camille Braxton sat poised in her seat, a composed figure dressed in an elegant ivory blazer. In her late 40s, Camille carried herself with the quiet confidence of someone who had broken through countless glass ceilings. As the CEO of Orion Aviation Group, the parent company of the airline she was flying, she was no stranger to high stakes and difficult challenges. Her journey from a small town to the top of a multi-billion-dollar corporation had been paved with grit, intelligence, and an unshakable will. As the meal service began, other passengers around her were presented with perfectly plated dishes, filet mignon, fresh seafood, vibrant vegetables. Camille's tray, however, told a different story. The chicken looked dry and overcooked, the vegetables limp and unappetizing. A faint, sour smell lingered in the air. When she glanced up, the flight attendant gave her a dismissive smirk and said, "If you don't want it, I'm sure someone in coach would appreciate the upgrade." A few passengers nearby chuckled quietly, unaware of who Camille really was. Camille didn't raise her voice or make a scene. Instead, she remained calm, her expression unreadable as she quietly pulled out her tablet. With practiced efficiency, she began to document every detail: the spoiled meal, the flight attendant's smirk, the whispered chuckles from nearby passengers. Each photo and note was saved with a timestamp, creating a clear record of the disrespect she faced. Her composed exterior hid a storm of determination. While those around her remained unaware, Camille was already preparing to take action, not with anger, but with quiet, undeniable power. As the flight wore on, the neglect only grew worse. No one refilled her water glass. Requests for a blanket or assistance went unanswered. Flight attendants passed her by as if she were invisible. The contrast between Camille's dignity and the crew's dismissiveness deepened the tension in the cabin. Passengers glanced her way, some with curiosity, others with barely concealed judgment. But Camille said nothing. She endured the snubs with silent strength, eyes focused on the window, mind planning the steps ahead. Finally, the plane began its descent. Outside, the city skyline of New York City came into view. Inside, the captain's cheerful voice filled the cabin, blissfully unaware of the storm about to unfold. "Thank you for flying with us today. We hope to see you again soon." Camille stood slowly as the plane touched down at JFK Airport. She allowed the other passengers to deplane first, showing no rush. The smirking flight attendant passed her once more without a word, unaware that Camille's quiet endurance was about to turn into swift justice. As the last passengers trickled off the plane, Camille reached for her phone. With a calm, steady voice, she made one clear instruction: initiate immediate review of Flight 448, Crew ID Batch 873A, effective now. Within minutes, ground staff arrived at the jet bridge, not to greet Camille, but to detain the crew members involved in the incident. The flight attendants exchanged confused glances, unaware of the full weight of what was happening. The captain stepped forward, clearly surprised. "Is there a problem, ma'am?" he asked, his tone uncertain. Camille met his gaze steadily and handed him her business card. The color drained from his face as he recognized her name. "CEO Braxton," he stammered. "Yes," Camille replied quietly but firmly. "I expect better from my airline. This behavior will not be tolerated." The crew was escorted away for immediate questioning, their smug expressions replaced by shock and unease. By morning, the story had exploded across social media and news outlets. Headlines read, CEO grounds flight crew over discrimination and neglect, and Orion Aviation faces industry shakeup after in-flight incident. The airline quickly issued a public apology, acknowledging the failure in service and promising swift action. Several crew members were suspended pending investigation, and management announced a full review of training protocols. Within days, new policies were rolled out, including mandatory bias training for all cabin staff on international flights, signaling a major shift in company culture. Camille's decisive actions sparked a wider conversation in the aviation world about respect, equality, and the power of leadership, even in the most unexpected places. Camille declined all interview requests, choosing instead to make just one brief public statement. Respect should never be optional, no matter the seat, no matter the skin. Her words struck a chord across the industry. Shareholders praised her swift and unwavering leadership. Employees whispered about the quiet strength she showed, admiring how she handled the situation with grace and authority. Customers, especially those who had often felt invisible, finally saw themselves respected. Camille's calm yet powerful response sent a clear message. Sometimes silence speaks louder than words. Her leadership proved that you don't need to raise your voice to demand justice. Instead, steady determination and strategic action can be the sharpest tools to cut through arrogance and discrimination. This story reminds us all that respect is a right, not a privilege, and that true power often comes in quiet moments of resolve. If you found Camille's story inspiring, don't forget to like, share, and comment below. Subscribe for more stories about strength, leadership, and standing up against injustice. Your voice matters. Let's keep these important conversations going.